You thought the Montana borders were bloody. You thought what happened between the Duttons and everyone who tried to take their land was as brutal as ranch warfare could possibly get. You were wrong. Beth Dutton just brought a war to South Texas, and the Jacksons are about to find out exactly what happens when you cross a family that has been fighting for its survival since before Texas was even a state. Paramount Plus just officially locked in Dutton Ranch Season 2. And after the explosive finale that left the 10-Petal Ranch in flames and El Padrino's true identity finally exposed, the Lone Star State is about to burn in ways that the Season 1 battles only hinted at. The first look at Season 2 Episode 1 has arrived, and it is confirming everything that the finale set up while simultaneously raising the stakes to a level that makes everything we watched in Season 1 look like a warning shot. Rip and Beth are back. And they are not back to settle in, or find peace, or build a quiet life in a state they barely understand yet. They are back because the war that started with Austin's confession and the illegal cattle operation and Wes's murder and El Padrino's arrival has not ended with the Season 1 finale. It has only found its next shape. And that next shape is darker and more dangerous and more personal than anything the 10-Petal Ranch threw at them in the first season. The trailer for Episode 1 is already showing us things that are going to change this entire story permanently. And once you understand what it is actually telling us beneath the obvious surface of what is being shown, you will understand why Season 2 of Dutton Ranch is shaping up to be the most ambitious chapter this franchise has produced since the original series first introduced us to the family that refuses to die. Let me break down everything this first look is already revealing and give you the release date information that every fan has been waiting for. Before we get into what the Season 2 Episode 1 trailer is showing us, we need to talk honestly about where the Season 1 finale left every major character, because Season 2 is not starting from a clean slate, and the trailer makes that unmistakably clear from its very first moments. The 10-Petal Ranch as it existed at the beginning of Season 1 is gone. Not damaged, not troubled, gone. El Padrino's arrival and everything that followed in those final episodes destroyed the balance of power that Beulah had spent decades constructing, and no amount of fresh starts or new alliances or carefully negotiated arrangements is going to rebuild what was torn apart in those hours. The characters entering Season 2 are people who have been through something that changes people permanently, and the trailer is showing us exactly what that change looks like on each of them. Beth is the character whose Season 2 trajectory is going to define everything else about where this story goes, and the trailer makes that clear from the energy she is carrying in every moment of this first look footage. The Beth who arrived in Texas in Season 1 was dangerous and smart and completely willing to use every tool available to her to protect her family and their interests. The Beth entering Season 2 has been through the full Season 1 experience, including discovering the true depth of corruption at the 10-Petal Ranch, watching what El Padrino's arrival did to the alliances and the power structures around her, and navigating the specific cost of being Beth Dutton in an environment that was not yet calibrated to understand exactly how dangerous that actually is. She is not starting Season 2 as someone who is still figuring out South Texas. She is starting it as someone who has figured it out completely and who is now prepared to use that knowledge without the restraint that unfamiliarity imposed on her in the early episodes of Season 1. Rip's position entering Season 2 is the one that the trailer suggests is going to carry the most immediate dramatic weight. And if you know anything about how Rip operates across the broader Dutton franchise, the specific quality of focus and contained fury he is carrying in these first look images should genuinely alarm you on behalf of anyone currently standing on the wrong side of whatever he has decided needs to happen. Rip has always been the instrument of the Dutton family's most serious business, the person you send when a situation has moved past the point where words or leverage or even Beth's particular brand of strategic destruction are sufficient to handle it. The trailer is showing us a Rip who has made some kind of determination about what Season 2 requires of him, and that determination is going to have consequences for the Jackson family and for anyone else connected to the networks that El Padrino revealed in the Season 1 finale. Joaquin's position at the start of Season 2 is perhaps the most emotionally complicated of any character the show is carrying forward, because he ends Season 1 having gotten some version of justice for what happened to Wes, while also having learned things about his own history and his relationship to Beulah that have permanently altered his understanding of everything he thought he knew about his own life. The trailer shows him in a state that reflects that complexity, not broken exactly, but fundamentally changed in ways that make him a different kind of threat or a different kind of ally, depending on which direction the Season 2 conflicts pull him. What Joaquin does with what he learned in the finale is one of the most genuinely interesting questions the Season 2 setup is leaving open, and the Episode 1 trailer is already showing us that the show intends to explore that question with real seriousness rather than simply using him as a vehicle for revenge. Beulah's survival into Season 2 and the condition in which she arrives there is the detail that is going to shape everything about how the power dynamics of the 10-Petal Ranch rebuild themselves or fail to rebuild themselves across this season. A weakened Beulah is still Beulah, but a Beulah who has been forced to confront everything her decades of constructed power were actually built on, including the truths El Padrino's arrival exposed about the deals she made and the people she used and the secrets she kept, is a fundamentally different force than the Beulah who opened Season 1. Whether she rebuilds from that exposure as something more honest, or uses whatever time and energy she has left to protect the version of her legacy she has always wanted people to believe in, is the central question her character is carrying into Season 2. The Season 1 finale did not just end a chapter. It demolished the foundation that the chapter was built on and scattered the pieces across the entire landscape of this story. Season 2 is not about what comes after the dust settles. It is about what happens when people try to figure out who they are in the middle of debris that has not finished falling yet. And the Episode 1 trailer is already telling us that nobody is going to have the space to figure that out at a comfortable pace. The Season 2 Episode 1 trailer opens with something that immediately communicates what this season's fundamental shift in energy is going to feel like. Where Season 1 spent its early episodes establishing the world of the 10-Petal Ranch and the specific geography of power within it before introducing the Duttons as a disruptive external force, Season 2 opens with the disruption already fully underway. There is no establishment phase in this footage. There is no gentle reintroduction of the landscape or the characters or the dynamics that survived the finale. The trailer drops you directly into a situation that is already moving at full speed, which tells you that the show has made a deliberate, creative choice to honor what the Season 1 finale actually was, which is a point of no return rather than a manageable crisis with a path back to something resembling normalcy. Beth and Rip's first scene in this trailer is the one that is going to generate the most immediate discussion among fans. And once you understand what it is communicating about, where their relationship and their shared mission are positioned at the start of this season, everything else in the footage reads differently. They are not in the kind of reactive defensive posture that defined significant portions of their Season 1 experience. They are in the posture of people who have assessed a situation completely, made a decision about what the situation requires, and are now moving toward that decision with the specific quality of purpose that Beth and Rip together have always carried when they have stopped trying to manage a problem and started trying to eliminate it. That shift from management to elimination is the most important thing this trailer is communicating about what Season 2 is going to feel like compared to Season 1. The Jackson family elements of this trailer are where the Season 2 threat structure is beginning to clarify itself, and what the footage is showing us about the Jacksons' position in this new landscape is genuinely alarming in ways that the Season 1 conflict with Rob Will and El Padrino only partially prepared us for. The Jacksons are not a single unified threat operating toward a single unified goal. They are a family with internal conflicts and competing interests and their own histories of compromise and damage that the show is clearly intending to explore with the same depth it gave to every significant antagonist in Season 1. The most dangerous kind of enemy in a story like this is not the simple villain with a clear objective. It is the complicated person with legitimate grievances who is pursuing those grievances in ways that have become indistinguishable from the thing they originally set out to oppose. And the trailer is already suggesting that at least one member of the Jackson family fits that description in ways that are going to make the Season 2 conflict far less clean than a simple continuation of the 10-Petal Ranch War would have been. The cartel-adjacent elements that the Season 1 finale introduced through El Padrino and his connections are visible in the Episode 1 trailer in ways that suggest this season is going to explore that dimension of the story with considerably more directness than Season 1's careful setup allowed for. The illegal cattle operation that Austin exposed was the visible surface of something much larger and much more dangerous. And the show clearly intends to follow that thread into territory that the Season 1 resolution only partially addressed. What the trailer is showing us about the scope of what Beth and Rip are walking into in Season 2 suggests that the conflict they managed in Season 1, which felt enormous in the context of the show's first year, was actually the smaller and more contained version of the problem. The release date information that has come alongside this first look is the detail that every fan who survived the Season 1 finale has been waiting for, and the confirmation that Season 2 is coming represents a genuinely significant commitment from Paramount Plus to this franchise and to this specific expansion of the Dutton universe. The network's willingness to invest in a second season before the cultural conversation around Season 1 had fully developed tells you something important about the confidence they have in what this show has built and where it is capable of going. The Episode 1 trailer is not giving us a gentle preview of what Season 2 has in store. It is dropping us directly into the middle of consequences that are already in motion, already dangerous, and already heading somewhere that nobody on the 10-Petal Ranch is fully prepared for. And that is exactly the energy this season needs to carry if it is going to build on what the finale delivered, rather than simply continue it. Every second season of a show that has established its world as effectively as Season 1 of Dutton Ranch did faces a specific challenge that the Episode 1 trailer is already demonstrating an awareness of. You cannot simply deliver more of what Season 1 gave the audience and expect the same level of engagement. Because the novelty that made Season 1's world feel exciting and urgent cannot be recreated once the audience is already familiar with it. Season 2 has to add something genuinely new to the story while honoring everything Season 1 built. And the trailer is showing us several ways in which this season is attempting exactly that. The new characters being introduced in this footage are the most obvious addition, and the specific types of characters being brought in tell you a great deal about the direction the season intends to take the story. Where Season 1's new character introductions were largely focused on populating the world of the 10-Petal Ranch and establishing the specific power dynamics of South Texas ranching culture, the new faces visible in this Episode 1 trailer are coming from outside that world. They are bringing connections and histories and agendas that extend beyond the geographic and cultural boundaries that contained the Season 1 conflict, and that expansion of the story's scope is going to change the nature of what Beth and Rip are dealing with in ways that make their Season 1 experience look like preparation rather than the main event. The decision to expand into the cartel-adjacent territory more directly in Season 2 is the most consequential creative choice visible in this trailer, and it is one that carries both enormous potential and genuine risk. The potential is obvious. Adding the scale and the danger and the specific moral complexity of cartel-connected conflict to a story that already has the Dutton family's particular approach to violence and loyalty creates dramatic possibilities that are genuinely exciting. The risk is equally obvious. The cartel storyline needs to be handled with enough specificity and enough genuine engagement with the human realities of what it represents to avoid becoming a generic genre element that flattens the specific character-driven texture that made Season 1 so compelling. The trailer suggests the show is aware of this risk and is approaching the expansion with the appropriate level of seriousness. But Season 1 trailers were also suggesting things that the actual episodes then had to deliver on, and delivery is ultimately the only measure that matters. Everett's trajectory in Season 2 is one of the more intriguing questions the trailer raises, particularly given where his relationship with Beulah ended the Season 1 finale, and what the full revelation of her secrets means for the quiet life he was finally hoping to build with her. Everett has always been a character whose capacity for violence exists in specific and bounded relationship to his loyalty. And the question of what happens to that loyalty when the person it was built around turns out to have been keeping fundamental truths from him is exactly the kind of character question that the show excels at exploring. The trailer shows him in a position that suggests the answer is not simple and is not going to resolve quickly or cleanly. The expanded scope of the Texas landscape that the Episode 1 trailer is introducing adds a visual and geographic dimension to the season that is going to distinguish it from Season 1 in ways that go beyond simply covering different narrative ground. Season 1 established St. John's, the specific ecology of the Ten Petal Ranch and its surroundings, as the contained world within which the conflict played out. Season 2 appears to be breaking those geographic boundaries deliberately, moving the action across a wider territory that reflects the expanded scale of the threat now visible after El Padrino's arrival. That expansion is going to require the show to maintain the specific intimacy of character focus that made the Season 1 conflicts feel personal, even when they were operating at the scale of organized crime and family dynasty, and the Episode 1 trailer is suggesting that the show understands this requirement and has made structural choices to honor it. What Season 2 is adding to this story is not simply more of what Season 1 delivered. It is a genuine escalation in every dimension of the conflict, the personal, the professional, the geographic, and the moral, while keeping the character relationships at the center that made Season 1 matter. The question is not whether this expansion is ambitious. It clearly is. The question is whether the execution will be equal to that ambition. And based on what this Episode 1 trailer is already showing us, the evidence is genuinely encouraging. Let's bring all of this together and talk about what the release date confirmation and this first look actually mean for the broader Dutton universe and for the specific story that Dutton Ranch is telling within it. Because this is not just another Paramount Plus renewal announcement for a show that performed adequately and deserved another season. This is a statement about where the Dutton franchise is going and what role this South Texas chapter is going to play in the larger mythology that the Yellowstone universe has been building across multiple shows and multiple timelines.